It's going. There we are. We are live. So it's time to play that intro we have for you guys. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate.
It's time to get real about shit and have some hard conversations and rip apart topics to make sure we advocate for every angle of that topic. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate, brought to you by INDEE Volt. Give your fandom a recharge, and hosted by the uncanny indie devil, Mr. Anderson. Follow all the comics devil's tales at MrAnderson.com.
Original music by Unicorn Heads for the YouTube Audio Library. This music is free for you to use on YouTube videos. Find the music in YouTube Audio Library in the Creator Studio. Search Unicorn Heads.
And now on to the topic. The opinions expressed in the following broadcast are not necessarily those of INDEE Volt Media LLC, its staff, contributors, or sponsors. Viewer discretion is advised. Yes, and that's the thing that Varian requires me to constantly have on the program before we begin anything, because he knows the things that can come up when I'm in a conversation. But this evening, I'm joined by some great fellow creators, so I'm super excited. I think this is going to be a great night. So we're going to go around the room, do the intros, and we're going to have a great night. So guests, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Daphne Lage, and I'm the artist of the funny animal comic Tall Tales, written by J.D. Calderon, whom you know, met, and love already. The series spans more than 20 issues, and you can check out my work at talltalesonline.com and my YouTube channel, Daphne Lage Art.
Wow. All right. 20 issues. That's...
Yeah, I've been at this for a while.
Yeah. It's impressive. Yeah. I got the seventh one coming out soon.
Hey, that's really good too. Most people don't make it past issue 1.
Yeah, we got there. There was issue 1 was actually like the 4th issue because of the short story format I started with. And then there was a big gap as a lot of stuff happened, but came back. Managed to make it back, and it's going strong. We got Guano Guy issue number 3 launching next month with the same team coming back of Alexander Unlin doing art and Maja Opachik doing the colors, and Ryan English, who also does the Bee Gees comic. He's the artist for that one, but he's done the cover 3 times now, which is just, it's so much fun that he'll keep coming back and contributing to this comic. And it's going well, and there's a indie project I'm working on that I can't quite announce it, but it's out there. I'm working. Yeah, kind of. This is actually a topic I've been talking with my girlfriend quite a bit, so it's coincidental that it popped up because I got issue with it.
Yeah, when I saw the topic, I had to jump in myself. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to do my quick intro because, of course, we're joined by the INDEE Volt audience who doesn't always know who I am, and other audiences, including Geek Insider, as we get now shared on there as well. So for those who don't know me, here I am. Let's see. I'm trying to play the right video because last week we played the wrong video and it was just another intro. So here it is. Fingers crossed this is the right one. That's not the right one. See? Because this is, I'm still getting used to, oh, there we are, Devil Express.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the devilish comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com.
All right. See, that's super awesome. I don't know where Mark went. I'm sure I'll be right back, but I love this backdrop.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the topic for tonight for those who are just joining us and those in the radio program who didn't see the overlay that we had. So here's tonight's question. How dare you draw women that way? Is it jealousy or serious concern? Of course, this has been huge in the last couple of years, and we're going to want to be talking about it. I'm going to open up the floor to the guests first, and then I'll tell you about how I feel about this. Who wants to go first?
Daphne.
Okay, yeah, I'll go first. Because this is something that's been kind of like on my brain for a while. And what's funny is that the answer I would have had to this question 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, is vastly different than the answer that I'm going to give today. And I guess that just goes to show you how the conversation has gone. I mean, I've seen variations of this argument for decades, really. It was first it was Barbie, then Hustler, then Playboy, and now it's children's cartoon characters and comics. And on its face, I completely understand the argument. Media is not benign, so so we have to, so we have to kind of be careful with what ideas can actually get implanted in our head due to media. I mean, you got to remember, corporations spend billions of dollars trying to figure this out, but but the thing is, though, it stops, for me, it stops really short of saying that, like video games cause violence. I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. But to stay specifically with comics, as a consumer, walking into a comic book store, nothing turns me off more and faster than walking into a comic book shop and the place is like laid out like it's a Fredericks of Hollywood. Yeah, that as a consumer, as walking in, is just like, that really gets to me. But as an artist, the last thing I want, I absolutely abhor the idea of randos trying to tell me what to draw or not draw, and trying to push the narrative that there's an acceptable and unacceptable way of drawing anything, really. Because some of the arguments that they give, I mean, there was a Mike Diana documentary. I mean, I remember when Mike Diana was happening in real time, and the way the people would talk about how they wanted control over this person's artwork, to the point where a judge said he literally could not draw without permission, that's abhorrent. And to hear that argument coming from people arguing this point about, how women are drawn in comics, is just like, I don't know which is more offensive, really.
And that makes sense. I got where you're getting at with that. It's not an easy topic. Mark, what are your opinions?
Yeah. It's definitely a sensitive topic. I wouldn't want to discount someone's feelings if they look at material and it does make them feel bad. As a consumer, of course, you can simply not buy any of that material and speak with your wallet. I mean, I struggled a lot with body issues when I was a kid, so I can sympathize with it. I definitely went through that, but then grew out of it, both physically and emotionally. So I feel very different about it now. But a thing to consider when it comes to comic books is that oftentimes it is an unrealistic image. You're not supposed to look at it and think that you're supposed to look like that. It's a comic book. It's not real people. It's drawings. But also they're idealized people. If you looked at a Greek or Roman statue, I mean, their physique is impressive. It's an ideal to be aspired to, not necessarily attained. And when I've seen this topic brought up, one of the times that I remember it being brought up was Catwoman from the Batman Arkham games is, very impressive looking and wearing a very the costume is meant to, I think, trick villains into not taking her seriously enough until it's too late. But on the flip side, Batman is equally as impressive. He's like 6'5" and perfectly built, acrobat, martial artist, detective, inventor, billionaire. You know,
oh, that's realistic, right?
Yeah, that's not realistic. I'm not going to be able to get there. And I've been in the military. I've taught fitness, gone to college for multiple types of education. And no matter how hard I work, I'm not going to be able to get there. It's still going to come up short. So I think that it can affect men and women. I think that the male side of it gets ignored a lot. I remember growing up with He-Man figures, and He-Man and Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's what I wanted to look like when I grew up. Like, that's literally what I looked at as like, that's what I have to achieve. And worked out quite hard, but at some point had to realize like I'm not built for that. It's not going to happen. And I got to figure out how to be happy with what I can achieve and how I do look.
All right, and that's my turn to come on screen. So, look, it like we're trying to express at the beginning of this. This is not going to be an easy conversation. I have comments that have been gave to me privately, and there's my son running in. Private comments because people don't want to talk about this publicly sometimes because they're just afraid of being attacked for it. I'll say this. This is probably going to be one of the most complicated things we're going to talk about, because we're going to have to talk about both the idea of how we treat females is even changing now from where it started with comic books. Our gender roles aren't what they once were. So that's definitely changing some of the conversations, the way people look. That's like Mark had just kind of said. I think it's dangerous to say that no one looks like these women, because there are girls who look like these women. I've been friends and have actually had relations with a few women who did look like these characters. No. And I don't have like a quote unquote type. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about body. And like Mark, I actually transformed my body through working out. And I did it all the wrong way, to be honest with you. I had to overeat over 2 pounds of food a day to build a bigger chest, to be able to bench press 425 pounds. And as Mark can tell you, that's not an easy feat, because like him, I wanted to be like a wrestler. I wanted to look jacked and huge like Batman and like a wrestler. And along the way, I learned a lot of things about fitness I never understood. How much more the extra weight. I've changed my literal body for the rest of my life. My rib cage has now expanded from all the muscles I put on. I didn't know you could grow your rib cage, but working out enough, it'll stimulate bone growth in your actual rib cage. I was amazed that could happen. I didn't know that. So we quickly say that these things are impossible, but the truth is they're not impossible. With dedication, you can look like these. Some people can look like these characters. And you're right on the get-go. You don't have to look like that. So that's where I want to start this. I want to start with the jealousy angle. Do you think this is just more noise from people who feel intimidated? Because, I mean, how many times do we look at Hollywood people and we go, oh, I could do that too if I had a fitness? How many times have we heard that? If I had a fitness trainer 24 hours a day, if I had a private chef, I could look like that too. And the truth is, and it's hard to deal with, not necessarily. Like Mark said, your body's only going to be your body. There's only so much you can do. I could lift amazing weights, but I did not look as jacked as The Rock. Mind you, I could bench press 425 pounds. He looked in better shape than me. 100%, absolutely. No matter what I did, I couldn't get certain things to look the way I wanted them to look. And I felt that pressure of it. So I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you think that there's just a hint of jealousy with a lot of what we're seeing in this, where people aren't saying it, but they're feeling it? Like, I can never live up to that, so I don't want that out there.
Well, you see, the funny thing is that when you mention The Rock and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and Hugh Jackman, they're all real people. And what appears in a comic book is not real. I mean, it's like Magritte did an entire painting based on this. It's like with the, it's like it's the, I guess to paraphrase it, ceci n'est pas une femme, un peep in the painting's case. In this case, une femme, a woman. A drawing of a woman is not a woman. A drawing of a man is not a man. So for people to even think that, I mean, 3 years ago, I probably would have said, yes, this is probably an issue that really needs to be taken care of because, this art, art can create body issues and this, that, and the other thing. But now, after seeing a lot of really weird conversations around this, it kind of, it's like they're cartoon characters. Really, you're getting jealous of cartoon characters, and also the thing is too is that the longer you talk to, well, I it's not that I talk directly to a lot of people who think this way, but you see the conversations online. And it seems if the conversation goes long enough, you realize that they're really talking about specific artists. Because there's a lot of other artists who don't really get flack for this, and they kind of do the same work. But there's specific artists that I'm pretty sure we all have names in our heads that kind of draw like this on the regular, and they tend to get a lot of flack for their questionable stylistic choices. But the thing is, though, is that instead of having a conversation about just confronting the fact that you don't like this person's artistic style, instead, or even if they just personally hate the artist, I've seen that too. Instead, they're going around making a list of body types that, in a lot of cases, sound suspiciously like mine. And they're saying that, they're declaring that, oh, that body type is inherently vulgar and unacceptable. So, how, I don't understand how that is supposed to be a solution to this. If you don't like someone drawing something a certain way, turning around and saying that's like, well, here's a list of bodies I don't like. It's like, okay, so what are you telling me? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that tells me that the issue is not really the art or the artist, but that tells me more about the person saying that. So that
makes sense. What do you think, Mark? Jealousy is this, or is it just people looking for a real concern?
I think that a lot of times when someone's unhappy with themselves, they find examples that are the opposite to be upset about. But I think, it could equally apply in anything. People, when they don't have money, don't like seeing people's wealth. When you don't get good grades, you don't like seeing other people having A's and getting scholarships. When you don't do successfully socially or get dates, you get jealous about how someone else is doing in it. And appearance is just another area. It's another, there's appearance. Almost all things that people have is partially innate and partially developed. And appearance is one that you have to put work in to achieve a better standard. And there's a lot of people that don't want to put the work in, much the way like some people are going to be straight A students with very little effort because their mind just picks stuff up easily. And some people are going to get a low grade and go, I'm figuring out how to get an A. And they're going to put in hours and study and develop their techniques and start getting good grades. Much the same way there are a lot of people who were pretty average looking who decided to change their diet plan, hit the gym, live a different, dress differently, and make themselves very pleasing appearance wise, but also work on personality. Personality and charm has a lot to do with attractiveness and not exactly appearance, but overall charisma and attractiveness. So I do think a lot of times I don't know if it's jealousy, but if it's discomfort that a person has with themselves, and this thing reminds them of that discomfort that they feel.
I do find it very insulting when I hear and of course, by the way, the room is open. The link is in the chat. You're more than welcome to come in and hang with us. But I do want to say, I do find it very insulting where 90% of the females we see on there, and I read a book about fetish. So I do have a character who gets naked, and we're going to talk about that later. But for right now, one of the things that someone had said was that she was very unrealistic looking. That's not true. We stepped back and we made sure. There is one cover I have out there that we went back and forth with the artist, and I actually made him thicken her out deliberately because I wanted her to look what was a real woman. And then I realized how I was sounding like a real woman because I did go into the fashion community and I did see women that looked exactly like it. And I came to the realization that we shouldn't use terms like real women because that's really what it's coming around to. Yeah. I know girls in my life that I could call up and put them in a cosplay outfit. How many times do we see cosplay at actual events? And then you have these people who, like Mark said, is probably not happy with themselves for whatever reason. And they start saying things like, well, she's not a real woman. She's augmentated. You know, she's this. She's not eating. She's starving. Someone throw her a cheeseburger. And it's almost in reverse bullying a person because, like Mark said, they dedicate themselves to wanting to do something. Like I said, I worked out very hard to get in shape to be a WWE wrestler. Unfortunately, I hurt my back, but I was really going to try out for it. And it's dedication. I mean, go watch these wrestlers and how they look, the bodies they have, the muscle tone. You know, that's real people. That's not like Pinocchio running around. That's a human being. And I think it's very disingenuous for one side to go, that's not what a real woman looks like. There's no such thing as a real woman. What is a real woman? We're even having a debate now in our culture over what just a woman is. Yet we have people online screaming and waving a flag. Well, that's not how women look. Well, maybe it's not how you look. And I think that we get a little bit of that. But I do want to go to the other side of it because this is devil's advocate, and I like talking about each side of it. What about the fact that, and this is very true, people whore their characters out? We can't not address that. The guy who writes a book, the character's not naked in any particular part of the book. There's no need to have the character naked. There's never going to be a scene in the book where the character's naked, but then they have 10 alternate covers where their character's naked or kissing another girl that has nothing to do with the story. Do you guys think that that is problematic and that might be charging what's going on right now in the comic book industry where we're seeing so many problems where women are actually getting like we were talking about before with Daphne. You walk into that comic book store and you feel like, oh,
yeah,
this Playboy? Did I walk in the wrong section? And we don't always want to do that uncomfortableness because sometimes, let's be honest, characters are getting whored out. What do you guys think about that?
What's funny is that we were, when me and JD were in Paris once, I literally didn't recognize a comic book shop because it didn't have all the walls plastered with half-naked pictures of Witchblade and Harley Quinn. And I mean, I literally, like, this can't be a comic book shop. Where are all the, where's all the pictures?
Like a bookstore?
No, it really was a comic book store. But that's not how they do it in France. So what's really funny is that is kind of a pet peeve of mine is like character. Yeah, that. But again, it's a personal peeve where it's like you do have creators who as he put it, whores out their characters. And the thing is, though, is that the problem is that we're in an industry where children's media and adult media overlap. And people get very confused a lot of the times as to what comic books are supposed to be. In a case of a lot of this, in a lot of this discussion, is that you have it's about it's funny you Mark, you mentioned Batman and Catwoman, and with this discussion I usually see that it's actually Marvel and DC that people complain about their characters looking like that. To tell you the truth, I don't really see this discussion about Xenoscope. I don't really see this discussion about Broadsword Comics, Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose. I don't really see it. But I do see it all the time with Marvel and DC characters. And here you have a situation where the parent company, Disney, wants, they market the Marvel products, the Marvel characters, as child friendly, as children's products.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Marvel, which sells their core products, the comics, as a product for adults. And then you walk into a comic book store and you hit that cognitive dissonance right in the head. So it's like it causes that confusion as to, well, is comics for kids? Is comics for adults? So you have people who want to play it both ways. Because I've seen it a couple of times where it's like, I was at one convention where I was passing a booth, and the creator's mother was helping him sell his comic. And I'm passing the booth and she goes, "Oh, come here and buy my son's comic. We need more women to read comics." And right behind her is a poster of just the character's butt. And I'm looking at this and it's almost like, I don't know. It was kind of like it could have been a political cartoon at that moment. Me staring at this woman wanting me to read more comics because I'm a woman, yet she's standing in front of a poster of the main character's butt. Like, it literally was just the character's butt. And it's like, how am I supposed to react to this? So it's like, so yeah, I understand. It's like why there's on one hand, you have books that have no adult content in it, yet they create imagery that's borderline softcore porn, I guess, to kind of like market it to both these overlapping markets. But at the same time, it's like, again, the average consumer sees this and it's like, well, what am I looking at? Like, which is it? Is it softcore porn or is it a comic I can buy my kid? It's like.
What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I have a problem with a lot of comics myself, and they're not for me. Where the comic is about the scantily clad woman. There's several that I've seen pop up where I partially, I'll admit, it's partially jealousy, because I see, the awesome sales where I'm just going,
definitely.
oh,
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, really.
I could get in on this because I'd like my book to sell a bunch more,
Mm-hmm.
but this isn't what I want to do.
Right.
I wish people loved, I wish some people loved jokes as much as they want to see a scantily clad or a sex scene in a comic.
Right.
But they don't. And that's not what I want to make.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of jealousy on my part. I mean, I see a model doing a comic book and I'm going, come on, where's the
really?
story?
Yeah. Before cosplayers, there were the bikini girls that used to go to conventions all the time. Yeah.
I worked when I was working in a game company and did a couple of gaming conventions to, show people the games. It's very, I mean, most of the people making the games are men. Most of the people demonstrating them are men, but you'd see a few women walk in. One of them was selling Battlestar Galactica, and it was a very attractive blonde who came walking in like the tight dress that was like the girl in the show. And certainly that's like, okay, where did that come? Because that's one person out of this whole room. It's going to turn heads, and certainly people are going to go to that table to check out that game. Now they may like the game. They're I don't know how much they're going to buy the game just for that, but it's going to get them over to that table. It's easy marketing, but unfortunately it does work. I haven't done Guano Guy nude on the cover yet. I'm thinking about it.
I actually made that mistake with my comic. My comic is, it's a furry animal comic. It's a fantasy adventure, Lord of the Rings, nothing really crazy about it. Although there is a couple of I have two characters that have a height differential, and I did a cover where I had the two characters together and the male character came up to the female character's boobs. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. But what happened is that
even in the scene.
Oh yeah, she is.
Oh.
It's like, unfortunately we're sold out of that cover, so I don't have it on me. So but I just thought it was funny. I didn't think ahead as to how regular people would see it.
Mm-hmm.
And there came a point I had to take that cover off the table because people would see it and all of a sudden they thought I was selling porn.
Oh, and not give you the chance to explain it.
Right, exactly. They would just see that cover and walk on by. So yeah, so that completely backfired on me.
Well, we're going to be joined by two other people coming in. We have Mighty Geek Studios. I'm not sure who that is, so you're going to have to introduce yourself. And we have the one, the only Randy Zen.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Daphne. How are you? Hey, everybody.
Good.
How's it going this evening? So, Randy, introduce yourself then. I don't know what happened to Mighty.
Mighty Geek just ran. I didn't kick him. I swear.
I know. Maybe they'll come back and they'll switch their name so we know their name. Sometimes you back out when you realize that no one knows your name. So
maybe they were, here to cause trouble too.
That's how you get your name known. You pop in.
They saw Randy. They're like, nope, I know Randy.
Exactly.
Randy will get so much. Tell them who you are, Randy.
I'm an alternative and independent comic publisher creator. I've been been working in the direct market for decades. And years and years and years, printed under many names, many companies, done a lot of stuff. Now, everything that you can imagine in this business, I've done, and a few other things that, I keep trying stuff that nobody else wants to do. So, and I had to jump in on this discussion because they're so true. There's Mighty Geek again. What's being said, but the key part here is the fact that. And the thing that we're missing, Diamond's pre-programmed all of these retailers and this entire market for so long in the direct market as to where their demographic is. And yes, it's chased off everybody else for decades. They've gone from 9,000 clients down to probably 1,200 now, and they're barely surviving. And the reason for that is that they've taken this art form and turned it into what it is today, with the complete encouragement to the retailers. You want to sell books? This is how you sell books. Here's the demographic for you to sell books. Mostly 25 to 55, mostly white, mostly male, always male. So you get the big-breasted women, you get the oversized, big muscular guys. Misogynistic male power fantasies have sold comics for decades because that's what the market has always been told sells comics for decades. You go back to the 80s, right before Image popped in, you'll see an era of black and white books that very few people recognize anymore or even remember, of incredible diversity. Incredible diversity, incredible artistic style, all sorts of different types of books were breaking out at that point. And then Image popped up with the what I call the circle template age, and decided that everything had to be round. And all the retailers said, superheroes sell, because we've been told that superheroes sell. And there was, granted, also at the time, there was a lot of inferior black and white comics that were coming out that were made to be sold in a trashy way. And I'm not going to go into titles, but those books also flooded the market at the time. The retailer said, "Hey, I can sell superheroes. I can sell this male power fantasy, so I'm going to do that." And they've chased off this market. When Daphne said she was in a French comic shop.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like a comic shop to her. That's because you go anywhere else outside of the States, and comics are looked at as an art form, as a genuine art form. And that means all inclusive. That means every kind of comic that you go over to Japan, sports comics, fetish comics, and for every kind of fetish, by the way, aimed at every audience. And they try superheroes over there. They do big muscular dudes and curvaceous women all the time. It's just that that's not the main focus. The main focus is
What's
the
funny is
story,
that
it's the character, and it's the art.
in that French comic book store, all the Marvel comics were in the basement in a corner.
That's because they were the crazy imports. It's the same as you walk into any liberal comic shop now. They have a little side corner around behind a curtain. That's where all the porn is.
Yeah,
it's like in the 80s. You go into a comic shop. You go into a comic shop 88, 89. Dude, there's this niche corner that had every underground comic you could ever imagine.
Even before that, from the 60s to the 80s, you saw that. You could walk into a comic shop in the 70s and you had just this incredible, especially somebody that was getting a direct market distributor when there was a dozen distributors. They were carrying every kind of book that they could find because it was catering to every kind of audience.
Yes.
Now, Mighty Geek Studios, let's introduce. Who are you? So we know what to call you.
I am a comic fan. I'm also an amateur creator.
Which we call you, Mighty Geek?
Yeah, you can call me Mighty.
MG for short.
The thing is, it's like this. You could go in the 70s. You can go into a comic shop and look around at the underground stuff, and the most popular publisher would be Penthouse Comics.
Oh yeah,
That.
I remember that.
I'll tell you why that is, because Penthouse focused on the art, story, and generally what just got you off. That was the whole point. They just wanted to know what turned you on. That was the whole thing.
And that's true. Comics are definitely inspired by what sells. And this is the next topic, and this was actually wrote in, and I agree with it. I was going to bring it up anyway.
Or what they're told that sells.
Right.
Well, sex sells. We can't deny that sex sells. It's in everything.
Well, yeah, that's true. But there were whole generations of readers that were chased off because the retailers were told that superheroes were big. And that was your I love superheroes. Don't get me wrong. X-Men and Titans are some of my favorite books in certain periods on certain runs. The superhero genre is very important to comics. Don't get me wrong. But there's such a need out there for diversity and for variety that superheroes should be a small part of comics.
Yeah, but with the sex sells idea, that's definitely important to admit, because I sell a fetish book again very well when I'm out in public. It's harder on social media because you get the haters. There's probably no one in this room who sees as many haters as I do because I'm public about what I sell. I have gotten complaints because I have a free hugs and spank sign, and I have to have a doll at my table so people can show me where it hurt them, the sign, because apparently they've been hurt in drastic ways. But with sex selling and it being everywhere, because here's the thing that really bothers me, and this was a point I was talking to a friend about. Okay, so we shouldn't subject women to looking at them and pawning on them, right? This is the time where we can't do that. Women shouldn't be in outfits, and we shouldn't be like Googling and goggling over them, right? Right? That's what everyone says. Then how come one award show has ever been attacked for the red carpet? Where every woman gets dressed up in tight outfits, revealing outfits, and that's inspiring. They're brave. Yeah. Look at the awesome outfit they wore tonight. And they're wearing stuff that I would see not even in a comic book that wouldn't pass being able to sold in comics. But they're brave, but in a comic book it's bad. So that was an interesting point that I was talking to my friend about. Our society has no problem sexualizing women on movie posters and commercials, on award shows. But the minute it's in a comic, it's a big deal. Why do you guys think that we get such flack for it when the other entertainment industries aren't getting? Look at rap. Look at music videos. Still, look at Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. I can keep going down the list. And then there are literal countdowns till they're legal to have sex with.
Yeah.
That really happens.
Yeah. Well,
and it's not just in America.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but well, the answer to that argument that I keep seeing is that the difference is that I guess these women are choosing to dress that way, as opposed to a lot of these female cartoon characters that are drawn by men and thus reflect whatever the men are, I guess, imposing on them as a cartoon character, but without really kind of talking about the fact that a lot of these women dress like that on the red carpet because that's a societal standard to chase, to be sexy all the time.
Well, it actually goes further than that. I don't know if you've seen in the last year how many stars have come out and said that they were inappropriately placed. We had what's the girl from Transformers in the Michael Bay films? She's got blue
Jennifer Beal.
Yeah,
Megan Fox.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, Megan Fox. Yeah.
15, it came out that she was forced to be underwater because she couldn't be at the bar. So they were like, just make her wet when she was 15. And from that point on, she became a sex object. And I saw an interview with her, and I'm guilty. I used to look at her like a dumb whore. That interview completely changed my mind, and I realized she had been typecast to be a dumb whore, and she was really a human being that just happened to be beautiful. And sometimes we do that to beautiful people. That's why you guys out there listening on the radio and watching right now, you want to know why a hot girl goes out with a guy that you think she is way under her league? Because that guy looked at her like a human being and not just something to play with. It is that simple. So I do think that it goes both ways, though. And men are, let's not get off the track that men are treated the same way. You have the actor who played Captain America, Chris Evans, who no longer wants to put his body through hell to look like Captain America. Yeah, Hugh Jackman too. Yeah. He's just tired of it. Working out sucks some days. Like, you don't want to go, your body hurts. To keep mass, you don't, like, I understand, and I'm sure Mark knows, when you're trying to keep muscle mass, you have to eat a certain way. You have to exercise a certain way. You have to do it twice a day. I was working out twice a day to maintain like a hulkish type of body. And if you miss a couple days, you start getting soft. I don't think people realize how much goes into that. And men are sexualized, and women are too. So why is that? Because we like sex. That's the one thing in America that we can't talk about without we have to giggle like little schoolgirls, and that's nothing against little schoolgirls. And yes, I have a hate but it's true. We giggle like little schoolgirls when we talk about sex in America. While when you go to France, when you go to England, you go to other comic book stores, it's not like this taboo thing. They have a section. If that's what you're interested in, like you said, separation in church and state, where you don't have Batman. I'll tell you, I'm a huge fan of Catwoman and Batman, and I write a fetish book, and this is what everyone doesn't understand. I don't think sex belongs in every comic. Right. I think there's a talent to implying something. As a matter of fact, in comics that aren't my fetish book, I doubt you'll ever see nudity unless it really resonates with the scene. Like you said, I treat my characters like human beings. Either they have to be comfortable with nudity, and I also look at it like Barbara. I don't mind her being nude because she'll go to a dungeon in New York City and be nude in public. So she would not have a problem being nude somewhere. But if I have like Cat Dad and Supermom, none of those characters will ever be sexualized. I will go after people like the god, the devil I am, if they ever try to sexualize my characters like I've seen Family Guy go through and the Disney princesses go through, because that's off limits. And I do think that we see that type of nonsense. But sex sells, but does it? That's kind of my point when I was talking to my friend. Yes, sex sells a little bit, but I think what Daphne was saying, it has to be genuine. And I think there's like Randy said, there's that disconnect. Diamond told you to make big boobs, but you're not even thinking about the characters. One of the worst things that we'll get to, I think, is the anatomy of females is sometimes wrong. Like, you see these girls with like, they have their outfits that are cut all the way down here, and I'm like, do you understand what nipples are? Because there's no way that outfit would not be showing her nipples right now. And then you see, and every character, like for the alternate covers, I have not seen so much hard nipples since there was Friends. Because Jennifer Aniston, for some reason, I don't know if you guys know this, there was an actual game to see where you could find her hard nipple in every episode of Friends. Oh boy! She would it actually became a drinking game for guys, and I'm not kidding you. Look it up; it's funny. But men are obsessed with like a hard nipple, so every cover had a hard nipple. I'm like, what is it, cold everywhere?
And that, again, that goes back to that audience that everybody was told to cater to.
Yeah, exactly. And there's artists now that have these giant nipples on certain pieces of art, and you're like, is that like a button? That can't be a nipple. That's got to be like that's a pancake. She has a pancake in her bra.
The funniest thing with that is that actually kind of like leads into a pet peeve of mine, and I have many artistic pet peeves. But it's funny because it's like we're a society obsessed with sex that refuses to admit that we're obsessed with sex.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of artists who draw what I like to call horny art. Like that's all they do. They draw horny art all the time. And
Yeah.
but they will bend over backwards to disavow any accusation that their art is horny. And it's like these are the same guys that talk about how, oh, guys think about sex every 30 seconds, but the second they draw a titty, all of a sudden everybody is a stoic fine art academic. You know, it's like, admit that you're drawing horny art. Admit it. Just admit it. I'll respect you more.
I know. It's like what happened in the 90s when a group of independent publishers came together and said they wanted to showcase more female characters. So they created the strongest, most outrageous female characters they could think of. All of them sold well, and I think they got more of a female audience because of that. Even though these women were scantily clad at all times, we're not going to talk about how many of them could actually defeat a guy like the Hulk in her sleep.
Well, the funny thing is that I read that Xenoscope and Jimbalent, that a majority of their audience are women who buy their books. So I get it. It depends on context. I mean, those Xenoscope and Jimbalent are very, as far as I can tell, open with the type of books that they're selling. They're not pretending their books are anything else but
exactly
books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like how Xenoscope turned the latest iteration of Robin Hood into a woman, which I had no problem with, because it's like, everyone knows that your descendants are going to be either male or female. So it's like, let's see how a female works in this role.
That was an original to Xenoscope. There were a couple of other companies that already had a female Robin Hood running around at the time.
I know, but the way they did it, it's like they tried to tie it into the original story. That's where Xenoscope. That's where Xenoscope has their strengths. They try to tie, whenever they bring in, let's say, a Van Helsing or a Robin Loxley or something like that, they try to tie it into the original character. So they turn these women into descendants of the original characters. Like Liesel Van Helsing, her great grandfather is Abraham Van Helsing. But they also turned her into an inventor, which I found pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but that would be more gender, while we're talking about just how representation of the female body. And again, female bodies are represented. The one thing I do notice to that point is every time they seem to change the character outside of most of Xenoscope or something like that, they deliberately try not to sex up the character. While if you go to a Halloween store, every one of those are now sexed up. There's sexy Batman. We have Batwoman. Why are you putting out a sexy Batwoman? Like a Batman. Why? It's never for a guy. It's like, do you understand that that wouldn't be Batman wearing it? Or it could be. Again, I'll have my hate bill in the message. But it's not intended for a dude to wear, because clothing is different.
Exactly.
What do you think, Guano Guy? I see a big smile on your face.
Yeah, when you brought up the costumes, because some of the ridiculous ones like sexy Freddy Krueger and like those two things shouldn't connect at all. That's nothing hot about that.
Well, these are the same people that brought you sexy crayons. So
I missed that one so far. Oh yeah.
And he's up and away from the desk. So anyway.
Sorry, Jax needed milk, so the boy gets milk. So now we're going to change over to cosplaying. Okay, so this is the thing that really pisses me off. Everyone talks about all this, oh, you can't draw women like that. You can't draw women like that, right? Don't do that. But then they applaud cosplayers. They say how wonderful they are. They share their photos. All these people have big ideas and big mouths, all talking about it. Even women. I've seen women try to trash, well, I don't like how that comic book is drawn. And 2 months later, if that comic book was popular, guarantee you that cosplayer is now doing it to get attention. So we have a disconnect. And they're also proving that you can't look like a cover. I can't tell you how many times I've seen these girls show up looking just like what was on the cover, proving their point completely wrong. No, there are females that look like that. And look, here you are proving the point. So what are we really talking about? And that makes me think, okay, so this is a little bit of jealousy again. What do you guys think when cosplayers are literally proving the point wrong that women don't look like that? Because they prove when there's not the, as Randy calls it, the beer bug going around, prove every weekend that there are females who look like that. What do you guys think about cosplaying and exploit the exploitive nature of their costumes?
I run into a little bit of a similar feeling about the cosplay as I do with comic books, where I really want to be impressed with story and art, not with scandalous scene. And with cosplayers, I think there's a similar thing where, like, I want to be impressed with, you put together a truly unique costume that took a lot of work that everybody is not going to have the fortitude to put together and the artistic skill, versus that's a bikini and a little bit of green paint. Which also makes me think maybe if you're going to cosplay like that, that needs to be off in its own area where like, kids are walking around and they're seeing people in very good costumes that are fully clothed, and the scantily clad ones maybe should be over in their own section by Xenoscope, which is fine. I've met some of the people at Xenoscope, totally nice, no problem. But you know, they're selling what they're selling.
The Xenoscope point,
that is what they do.
Pokes fun at cosplayers, as in with this one. This is their 2019 cosplay edition. I'm going to show you this. Do you remember April O'Neil ever looking like that?
No, she got pretty
maybe
close
in a fanfic.
Well, that's also some copyright issue right there, which we're going to get into real soon. Actually, next week will probably be the topic of the show: copyright infringement and how bad it's getting. But for this week, one of the things that with the cosplayers, I want to stress: I'm not trying to hate on cosplayers. I'm proving a point. I'm proving that literally we like those characters. There are females dressing up every weekend. Who are we really hurting? Because that's the next topic. If anyone else has something to say about the cosplayers, please chime in. With it?
Well, you see, because it's like with cosplayers, I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people hate on the cosplayers and people love the cosplayers, you know. And also, it's like, and then the other irony is that if you are a cosplayer who's not that body type that is near that resembles the character that was drawn, then that's a whole other level of hate that cosplayer gets.
Exactly.
The thing is, though, it's like I think that the problem is that, like, right now, for some reason, discourse has gotten really, really weird, and now it's like it's not enough to like either like something or not like something. It's like now it's like everything has to be a crusade. It's like you can't say, well, I'm not into this. I'm not into the way this artist draws, so I'm not going to buy the book, or I'm not into that, or I like this character better. Now it's like, oh, this is life changing, or oh, this, if it's not life changing, then this has to be destroyed. Like it's like this really weird, like if it's not wholesome, it doesn't deserve to exist. And an opinion about a cartoon or a comic book is now an arbiter of black and white morality thinking. So it's like, and like, depending on where you fall, it's either going to be either nurtured or punished. So it's like there got to a point where I don't know if it even yet, whether it's even about the cartoon character, about the character, about the costume, about how it's drawn. There's like something else going on that people need to like stir up drama over it. I guess there's a serotonin shortage, so they need to do something.
This goes back to body image.
Yeah, I think it turns into a almost like a
Body
mirror
image
to the
thing.
individual, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Randy,
And
do you have
you have people who say that no human being looks like that in real life. If you think about it, if you had a body like the Hulk, how often would you be working out? You'd be working out every day, every hour of every day, just to maintain that. That's what most don't understand. That can an overweight person be a superhero? They can, but they won't be overweight very long.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Credit to other characters who have shown that. Because I've always made the argument that if you were going to be Superman, you wouldn't be muscular. If everything was so simple for you on this planet, why would you have so many muscles? How would you have developed so many?
Exactly.
That makes no sense. He's just granted this ability. Why would he be so jacked? Makes no sense. So I kind of disagree. I think you can have an overweight superhero with beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I'll argue the other side, though. Watching Game of Thrones, it really bothered me that Sam, who was very overweight and kind of a lazy guy, then gets sent on the other side of the wall and has to hike a long ways and live a much rougher lifestyle, and yet he stayed the same shape. And I'm like, that's not believable.
That's not believable.
It's all bread. It's all the bread he was eating.
He was eating the bacon. He had taken bacon from the whole trip. Randy,
it wouldn't matter what he ate. If he was hiking all day,
Superman, if you guys pick up cars and throw them at,
that's just realistic. And being in basic
hold on. One at a time, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was saying that if you're someone like Superman who picks up cars, planes, and throws them at other superpowered beings, sooner or later some of that work is going to show.
Not if it's easy for him. Remember, it's just easy for him because he's an alien.
Right.
You know what I mean?
One thing. Right.
So it never made sense. What were you saying, Mark? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear with two people talking at once.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying in Game of Thrones, there's the character Sam, who was a much larger guy, lived a very lackadaisical lifestyle of reading, and he gets sent beyond the wall to join the Night's Watch, this guard group, and has to hike and hike and hike, and yet his physique never changed, which was not realistic at all.
Right.
His family, when they saw him again, would have been like, whoa. He would have dropped weight, been a lean, well, not necessarily lean, but he would have been a leaner, muscular-looking guy from all the calories he was burning from that kind of lifestyle. So it's not always realistic. I'm just arguing the opposite side, that realistically, like, superheroes are going to look impressive. The kind of life they live and what they do, they're going to be in great shape. That's just realistic for both women.
Well, but the thing is, though, we're in the end, we're ultimately talking about comics, and my whole thing is that why do comics need to be realistic to begin with?
They're not, because they're cartoon and fantasy on paper.
I mean, it's like if there's ever a medium that doesn't need to be realistic, it's comics. And
exactly,
it's like, and the thing is, though, and it's like, and a lot of this argument is coming from people demanding that comics be realistic, as if going outside of your door isn't realistic enough. So it's it's like for everyone to be arguing about it's not realistic. I'm not sure if. Well, for me, it really, I mean, I draw a comic with talking animals in it. realism.
Well,
does not exist today.
Daphne, let me just interrupt real quick. Mighty Geek, we can't hear you for some reason.
Every
other word is hard. I think there's a connection problem. Do you just want to tell people where they can follow you? Because I think that what we've seen is when people are on their phones, it winds up wearing out after a certain amount of time and won't work anymore. We don't know what it is. You just want to tell people where they can follow you, because you're cutting out on us.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram under Mighty Geek Studios, and you can catch me on YouTube on the Mighty Geek Studios.
I see his thing. Did you guys hear that? It might be my side too.
Mighty Geek
Yeah.
YouTube.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being on, man. I'm sorry we're having the problems we're having, but definitely come on in a future episode with us, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
All
take
right.
care.
All right.
We'll see
Yeah,
ya.
sorry. Every so often we have that where we can't explain it, and I couldn't hear, and all I saw was the thing going, and you can't host a show if you can't talk to a person, you know. So I know it was kicking out, and I didn't know who was talking anymore. So
It's
sorry
the
about that, man.
beauty of live broadcast.
Yeah, it's the reality of the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Randy, you've been really quiet about cosplayers. I want to know your feeling about this. Do cosplayers kind of prove that women can look that way?
I'm just letting everybody else speak.
I know, but I want your opinion.
All I can tell you is when these conventions first started, we were lucky to see any women at the shows at all, and it was very rare. And it was either somebody's girlfriend, somebody who liked science fiction, or somebody who had to be there. And the first real cosplayers that I remember is Harris. Paid for models to come in dressed as Vampirella.
Umbrella, yeah.
And us being, and you know, granted, I admit I was one of them. The Beavis mentality that the market was at the time, everybody was around that table going, "Is that spirit glue? How is she keeping that on?"
That and
How's
all
that?
the Red Sonja cosplayers.
Well, yeah, Red Sonjas were really first, but the majority of those, if you remember, like when Wendy Penny used to dress up as Red Sonja, they really weren't out there marching on the floor, displayed behind a table. They were doing it at night after the convention at the parties. They would come out and like costume contest parties. And that's when they came out dressed. The cosplaying aspect is really, and walking the floor is really kind of new and sprung up out of that Vampirella type mentality. And then women who wanted to be noticed started dressing up and coming out onto the floor. Some of them weren't even comic fans. They just saw a costume that they knew that they were the perfect body style type for. And, you know, some of them were paid adult entertainers that were walking the floor in order to attract attention. That's what they were there for, was to attract attention. And now, you know, that has opened, I think, a whole floodgate, a can of worms of mirror imagery, and people all have personal opinions of body style, shape, size, and everybody has whatever turns them on and what doesn't, and that's the can of worms that you have now. The other positive thing that I can tell you is that I saw when it comes to cosplaying is all of a sudden that stereotype large bellied geek dude started shifting. Guys started paying more attention to their physiques and their health. Women started paying more attention to their body image and their health in order to fit into these costumes. And I can't help but see that as a really good thing at these shows, because for a while there, it was all your typical Simpson comic book dealer dude, you know, working out of their basement. The stereotype was there for a reason.
I think the movie 300 had a lot to do with that.
That could be too, yeah.
Well, we are going to go to open format in just a second.
I'm sorry, Rob. When it comes to comics, though, I blame Dark Knight Returns, because all of a sudden these companies decided that they had to be realistic. They had to be true to life. Everything had to be dark and abysmal and dull. When really you go back and you look at the comic sales, you look at what's actually sold in comics. Comics sells a level of whimsy and entertainment.
Right, yeah.
And their highest sellers are books that they could never sell in the comic market today because they're crazy whimsical. You know, you go back and Wonder Woman's always been in a bikini or in a
right.
bathing
Yeah,
suit.
no one's complaining about Wonder Woman.
Nobody's complained about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And Ross Andrew drew some awesome Wonder Women. You know, back during the day, it's very fantasy oriented. Wonder Girl, Wonder Tot. Nobody complained about that. You know, but it's just the way the market has shifted and is changing. You know, and there is a level of there's a level of maturity that comes along with that the industry desperately has to have. But also at the same time, you have to recognize the level of whimsy that's just gone. in comics today, and the stuff that used to really sell millions of copies that everybody would buy and love and enjoy, that you'd never see around anymore.
Got to check out the Guano Guy.
There we go.
Lots of whimsy there.
We're starting to see that come back. You're starting to see more humor books, and that, like I said back in the '80s, you really saw that popping out with Fish Police and Tall Tales and Aniverse, and that we're coming out during that time. But they really got squelched when Image popped up with all of the over-exaggerated.
Well, I think a lot of those books are going to Scholastic now, aren't they?
No, I think Scholastic is opening up a whole different audience. And it's a younger, softer audience, and it's one Marvel and DC's just ignored for years after Star Comics, if you can count that. That was just Harvey Light on a lot of that, and a few merchandising opportunities as far as Marvel was concerned. But nobody's ever seriously looked at expanding the individual demographic, except for in really quick spurts. Hey, here's a kid's book. Oh, it didn't sell. I guess kids' books don't sell, so we're done. Instead of actually sticking out there and doing something. But Scholastic's done it because they've got a different market. They've got the schools that they can cater to. And who knew Dogman existed 4 or 5 years ago? Nobody. Now everybody does.
So, like I was saying, and that's a good point, Randy. We're going to talk about this one last thing. We're going to open it up to the comments, and then we'll have a free format. This was the last topic. We do have some comments we'll be addressing for the rest of the show, but this is really what it boils down to me. Who is it really hurting? Realistically, if people want to draw these covers, and of course I called it pouring out, I'm not a fan of people who use their characters to just sell a book Randy. I think everyone in the room agrees with this, that it has to be a good story. If you don't have a story, you're going to lose that fan base really quickly. And you're only going to get the people who will pay $200 for your cover, but you'll see that trending of the backers going away. So that cleans itself out. And I don't respect creators who make their characters get naked when it does not fit who they are. But who are we really hurting? I mean, if they want to do it, let them do it. I don't understand that. Like Daphne said, this is literally make-believe, fictional characters. These are fictional characters. Why are you getting so serious about it? You don't like it, don't buy it. Like it's been said by a couple of you in the room already today. We don't need to be monitored. We'll spend our money how we want to, don't tell me what I like boobs. Heaven forbid. I like boobs. I like tight outfits. I like girls in tight outfits. And this really bothers me. Everyone talks about, women would not do that. Women would not wear things that were that revealing.
I'm glad they speak for everybody.
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
You see my new best friend, yoga pants? One of the best things to ever be made in this world. Now every woman wears yoga pants. So fuck that. Yes, every woman wants to show off their boobs and show off their ass when they're wearing things like that. So women do. Not every woman wants to. I'm saying everyone who's doing that is deliberate because women want to feel sexy. It's genetics. We're animals. That's actually supposed to happen, believe it or not. I know everyone wants to tell you that we're not an animal and we have to follow these society rules. That's the disconnect in America. We're not acknowledging that we're sexual creatures because, you can't admit that. No, shh. And then when you whisper in a girl's ear or a girl whispers in your ear, you're like, why would you want that? You don't know if it's okay anymore. Grow up. We're sexual beings. Stop judging everything.
As long as you're asking if they want,
like Randy said, there's a maturity we have to have with sexuality that we don't have in America, that you do see in other parts of the world because of the way that we're dealing with things. And like Randy said, we need to have kids' comics and not being exposing kids to Batman fucking Catwoman on a rooftop when the New 52 started. I write a fetish book. I was offended by that because I thought it was too graphic because I got into comics when I was 13 and that would have been too jarring for me at a 13-year-old pace to see that. Yep. That was not something I would have been comfortable for. And Randy's right. If you're going to make it, and Daphne had said this at the beginning of the show, if you can't play in every world, you can't make Deadpool the cool little figure for kids and then wonder why they want to see the rated R film.
Right. Well, it's the same thing. I had an incident with Harley Quinn. A mother wanted me to draw her daughter. I think the girl must have been like maybe, 4 or 5, dressed up as Harley Quinn. And she looked me dead in the face and she said, "Not the slutty one."
Yeah, spin the wheel. Which one was that?
She didn't. It was the one with the short. Yeah, the one from the movie.
Yeah.
I had to think about it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, is that the problem is that why is DC promoting a character like Harley Quinn to children?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't she like a freaking serial killer? I mean, why
she's
is
also the
she?
murderous
Why is she
one,
being
so
right?
that's
Why is she being marketed to children?
Yep. I was at a convention a few years back, back during the Deadpool when everybody cosplayed Deadpool and Harley Quinn. That's all you saw, Deadpools and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Dad was at the show, brought her daughter. Daughter was probably maybe 10, 12 years old. She was dressed as Huntress. You know, with the white cross on her chest and all that. Went walking through and I went, "Oh, Huntress, that is so awesome. You are so great." And the dad literally, as they walked off, the daughter was beaming because she actually got recognized as the character that her dad apparently wanted her to dress up as. The dad turned around and went, "Thank you."
Oh, yeah. She wanted to dress up like Harley Quinn.
Because everybody else was dressed. And that was the skin tight red and black Harley Quinn with the jester outfit.
Right.
That was really popular at the time. All you saw that whole show was red and black. That's all you saw. The guys were dressed as Deadpool. All the girls were dressed as Harley Quinn. And of every shape and size. So, anyway. Oh, yeah, Morgan, you tell me.
You tell me, Morgan. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see anyone getting hurt. It's a business. You don't like something, keep your money. Stop telling people how to live. Well, I don't like the covers, and I think people who are out there, their comics, but I don't say anything until someone says something dumb. When someone puts up a post on their page and says, "Well, I don't understand why I don't get return backers," I'm like, "Because you whore out your character. And when we read the book, it's boring. Right. The only thing you're showing is boobies. Everyone's realizing they can go to Cinescope or Zenoscope and they can get boobies, but a good story too. You got to give them credit. They have a good story. It's not Shakespeare. It's not. But it's a good story.
I can't stand to read them because of their unrealistic portrayal of women.
Oh yeah, no, it's look, I'm not saying
my wife loves them though, by the way.
See?
Just to read them all. Yeah.
Like if you're a feminist, that might not be what you want. I'll be honest. I don't collect a lot of them myself because I like the characters that I create to be dimensional in a way where you see their sides. They're very built in. Like my character, who's a fetish character, literally we've put out deliberate things where she's dressed sexy and she goes, "This is just an outfit. This is not who I am. Don't sexualize me because of how I dress. I'm still a human being." And I think there does need to be, even with creators, because some of these creators, the big nipples, the unrealistic placement of things. I mean, yes, we go to a beach and women wear bikinis, but they're not wearing that.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between being sexy and being sexualized.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know that difference. It's a fine line, but it's not that fine of a line.
No, there are people. Yeah. When you make your character nude on a cover for no reason, my character any day of the week can be nude on the cover, and it makes sense. She's from the fetish community. Right. Nudity is very much. She has never been nude on the cover. Mm-hmm. Everything she's worn could be something worn at a beach. Put in a different context, you turn the way the body looks. And of course, there could be suggestive stuff on there.
Right, yeah.
You'll never see. I mean, I had a great Carlos Villas drew this amazing art mural for us, and we called it The Things to Come. Absolutely loved the art. First time he drew it, she was naked. And the only thing that she was naked was she didn't have her underwear on. And it showed the birth chute. And I was like, nope. She needs to wear underwear. I won't do that. Because I think that's just too graphic. Honestly, for me personally, I don't think anyone needs to draw that and put that in a comic book.
Oh, that's the trifecta I used to call it. Like back during the 90s, especially the late 90s, I think it was, or the early 2000s. Like there was like this obsession with getting the trifecta on a cover: boobs, ass, and muff. And it was just like, what are you doing? You know, but we want to be taken seriously as a comic. It's like, yeah.
And we see that now. And there was a creator, and Randy was there for that, where I was told I had a niche book, and their comic was very popular. And I was like, the only reason your comic is popular is because you whore your character out with the covers. And he got very mad at me. Said, absolutely not. That's not what I'm doing with my character. That's not it.
Right. You see, that's that whole not admitting thing that I was complaining about.
6 months later, now she's naked on the covers. Still not part of the story.
Yeah.
So we know what you guys are doing, and yes, it's easy money. And at any day, I could make my character naked on a cover, get the right artist to do it, and make a mint, make a small, like 10 grand campaign. The thing is, I still want my character to be not taken seriously tomorrow. You know, I don't want her to be forced to take a walk of shame just to make some money. And that,
but it's like if a person wants to draw an adult comic, then just draw an adult comic.
Yes.
It's like, don't give us this Maxim Light crap.
Yep.
It's like,
don't draw a comic that could be mistaken as a teen book.
Yeah, you know.
Draw an adult comic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like commit to it.
Yeah. So I've been rereading. I've been going back and reading the original Ninja Turtles comics, and one of the things was them having to, for the kids' books, remove the tails. Because there's too many images where the turtle's standing and it's just shot from behind.
Oh, yeah.
That tail can be mistaken for genitalia pretty easy.
Bad silhouette.
Yeah. What is that between his legs there? What's going on?
Just stuck it in your shell from now on.
Yeah. Yeah, tuck it into the shell, buddy. Come on now.
Yeah.
But that is a good, I mean, we are talking about, and JD Calderon brings up, booth babes are a thing. And, you know, I've actually been suggested to have women at my table and tie them up. And I'm told I'll make a lot more money if I do that.
Would that be even legal at conventions?
Yeah, really.
As long as she was clothed, I could get away with it all.
With her consent, yeah.
With her consent? Well, of course, I'd have consent.
No, we're literally kidnapping people and shoving them under tables.
I have a free hugging spank sign, and I've had...
Rob's doing some whipping at 7, so you're going to want to get over there and see that.
Well, no, I have the free hugs and spank signs, and I really do give out hugs and spanks. And I've had girls be like, oh, do you want to handcuff me to something while you spank me? And I'm like, no, that's too far. Because I won't exploit, and I understand for them it's probably a fun moment, but I don't want to be the guy who ever exploits something. It is a line that I worry about crossing. If I had a girlfriend at a table and she was romantically involved with me and we were being playful and I wound up tying her up because that's part of our dynamic, I'd be okay with that. If I have to pay someone to tie them up, that's like paying someone to have sex with you. I can't even have a booth babe with me. Like, I mean, like people have been like, you should get a hot cosplayer. I'm like, no, I'm good. I can't because it diminishes because my book about fetish is about humans. It's about the actual passion people have, the fetish. It's about the human nature of it. It's not 50 Shades of Grey. It's not just sex and boobs and things thrown around and we're going to pretend this is serious material. No, it actually is.
And again, though, the convention scene, especially the bigger shows, are shifting as far as the audience goes. I honestly think booth babes were a thing.
Yeah.
And to have them back behind your booth now just comes across as tacky, you know. And it's a matter of the audience growing up and the audience getting more diverse.
It's also the booth babes learning that they can get their own table when they dress up as a character.
There you go, that too. And their own photo spread, and
and their own fan site,
their little corner, and their own safe space room.
And
their own
and OnlyFans, yes.
All you cosplayers who told us how serious you were, you went to OnlyFans. We see you.
Oh, no, forget it. At one Boston Comic Con, there was a team of cosplayers that were there for about 3 years. And on the 4th year, they had a separate, they built a closet next to their table, and I guess they figured out that they'd make more money selling, I guess, porn versions of all their cosplay photos.
Oh yeah,
you
great.
had to go into the booth to see those pictures. And it's like, oh, great.
Yep.
Yeah, this is what we want here.
Well, there's been a big problem at shows, and I throw a couple of local shows here at farmers markets, mostly one-day things. But we've had a problem lately, at least here in the Midwest, with what we call ghosting, where a lot of the cosplayers will come in and hang around in the lobby, not go into the show, pay to go into the show, but hang around the lobby or outside the convention in order to be photographed, admired, or whatever, or sell pictures or who knows what else without paying the cost of getting in or paying for a booth.
Yeah.
So and I've caught cosplayers, because I have a cosplay contest at my shows. I've caught them popping into my shows are mostly at farmers markets, popping into the farmers market long enough to be part of the cosplay show without paying admittance. So now I've had to go to a bracelet system.
Yeah.
And before, anybody is paraded out in front of the audience, they all have to show their bracelet, in order to be part of the contest, because I've got so many people walking in from off the street just to get the prize.
Yeah.
I'll dress up as so-and-so, pop in, get the prize, and leave. As they're not there for the comics. They're just there for the prize.
Well, the prize is also a lot of these girls. It's just a new avenue.
Yeah.
Girls think they're going to get a contract. It's the casting couch. We're going to hear in the next 6 months to a year all the bad negative stuff that's come out from that community.
It worked for Carmen Electra.
Well, when they all try to go back to shows now, they're going to be, oh, well, you had an OnlyFans. And they're going to start kneecapping each other. And it's going to get ugly as hell. Because it is. You want to, look, again, everyone says there's something wrong with the slut. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the slut. There's someone who likes sex. God bless you. People want to get paid for taking their clothes off. Look, I have Google, so I don't need to pay for that. Mm-hmm. I can just find it for free. But if you can make money, girl, boy, go hustle. Go hustle, well, make your money. Make your money. No,
right. No. But that brings up the other conversation about, whether cosplayers even belong at comic book conventions.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
They just don't belong getting free tables. And they don't belong walking around telling people they have to pay for their picture. I grew up in New York City. We have Times Square, which is a fucking disaster now because they're letting people pay for photos. No.
Yeah, no, I hate that. I hate that.
Kid. And you don't want to beat people up. Like, you don't want to get arrested, right? I mean, if they get rid of the police, I won't care as much. But while there are police, you don't want to beat some guy up. But they come real close to your kid, you get nervous because they're like, no, I want to take a picture. Fuck away from
yeah, you have to avoid 42nd Street altogether to avoid that. That's really the only place where they're at.
Well, now that's new. That's only in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
you able to walk around everywhere. And they come up to your kids and it's like, I will hit you. You better.
Yeah, no, it's annoying, yeah. I'm surprised they're there. I know that Disney tried to do copyright infringement stuff on them to get rid of them.
Yeah, they got away with it. They changed all their costumes.
Yeah.
They're not as genuine and authentic anymore.
Yeah.
But that's the next problem. It shows. You'll have a girl come up to you and be like, oh, how are you? Start flirting with you. And you'd be like, you want a picture with me? And you'll be like, okay, this is creepy. Sure, I just want it to end. She'll take a picture and be like, okay, it's $5. No, I don't pay for a picture with you. I don't know who you are. Right. Why are you bothering me? I just wanted to go to the bathroom. I have to get back to my table. Fuck! And that's all playing out in your head. Because now you're like, do I pay $5? Oh, shit. So
no.
you want a picture with me? No.
Yeah.
No, I do not. I do not want a picture with you.
Wow, that's some aggressive cosplaying.
Yeah. It is. I've had cosplayers show up, and they're like, oh, can I show you my book? And I'm at my table, and I'm like, no. No, you can't show me your book. Why do I want to see your book of pictures of you? I see it right here. You're standing in front of me, and I have a good imagination. I write comic books. I can make you dressed as anything right in front of my eyes, including nothing. That's right. Yes, I can see you naked. I have actually experienced. It is my superpower. I haven't told anyone that. I'm coming out to the world. I can see anyone naked at any time. Don't worry, Randy. I've never looked at you.
That's why you only see me from the shoulders up. I really don't want to disappoint you.
JD says, but the issue with the bloody axe on the cover was okay.
Oh yeah, he's
so true.
Yeah, he's referring to the boob cover that I did that everyone now thought that my comic was a porn cover. But there was another cover that I did that had a character with 2 bloody axes on it, and everyone was like, oh, that's a cool cover. So it's like, yeah, of course, violence is socially acceptable, but
I get that all the time.
Not a joke boob cover.
I write a book about fetish, about real people. You know someone in all your lives who's into fetish beyond me. You just don't know it because they're not out like me. And every time you make a comment about them, you're insulting them, but they won't say anything. Literally having a fetish nowadays is like being gay in the 80s. You don't talk about it because there's no protections. You could lose your job, and all this stuff is really happening. So I get taken to the coals a lot. Oh, you're a pervert. How could you do a kid's book and an adult book? I don't know. How did Angelina Jolie do a series of adult films? Literally did Gia, which, oh my God.
Yeah, that was.
I love that film, but there's stuff that made me blush. Gia, but also does a Disney film because we're not just one thing, you dumb fucking idiots.
Yeah.
So they're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? You have serial killers right next to me, literally showing a head decapitated, and you're not complaining. But me? Bro, the fuck up. I'm sorry you're repressed sexually and you can't tell people what you really want or you pay for sex. And I'm not trying to shame anyone.
That's not just the comic market either, because for the last decade, I did a little newspaper, comics and entertainment paper we gave away for free to anybody that just wanted to come up in the we went through 10,000 copies every issue of the thing. I could show the most graphic violence in that paper that I wanted, and nobody complained. In fact, I was worried a couple times because I had a couple of comic strips where guys got their chest blown open and entrails were everywhere. But one pasty, where you can see the bottom of a boob on a James Bond comic strip that was printed smaller than a postage stamp. I got a mad mom mob on me about it, where I'm like going, if you look really close at it, it's actually a flower. That's not an areola. Yeah, if you squint, that's a flower.
Right.
But they didn't want to hear that. It's why are you printing naked breasts while over in England, the James Bond strip has total frontal nudity.
No,
they're not worried about that at all. But over here, I got to go through and emphasize all of the bikini bottoms and all of the G strings. It's a G string, you know.
No, because it's funny that you mentioned the whole fetish thing, because the funny, it's like, oh, why are you doing one when you're doing another? Because it's like, what's funny is that I have a fetish sketchbook too, but I can never put it on the table when I'm at a convention.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. It's like, it's like, well, why do you have a fetish sketchbook next to an all ages comic? Does that make everything fetish? And it's like, no, that's not how it works. But
it is to a lot of people's minds, though. Yeah.
And to be fair, and Mark's seen this, my tables are deliberately split from church and state. This is for younger people. The adult books are always higher on the rack. It's deliberately designed that way. So when someone does that, I just literally look at them and go, listen, I don't have time to explain life to you, but people aren't just one thing.
Yeah.
That's it. And my favorite thing was always the girl who dressed up as Wonder Woman, usually in her 20s, and she'd come up to me like, I cannot believe that they let you in here. And I'm like, why? Because I always knew what it was. I was like, why did you say that? Because you're making a book about fetish. And I'd always see their friend get all red-faced because they knew it was coming. And I'd be like, oh, honey, do you know anything about Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman? Yeah, really.
Past 5 years from now. 5 years ago, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. You go beyond 5 years ago, you'll find some shit, honey. Yeah. And you'll be like, oh, and you will never dress like that again. I'll put it this way, honey. Why does she have rope all the time?
Find out about the same reason she wears shackles.
Right, exactly.
I mean, there's a lot, sweetie.
It's like, talk about not knowing your history.
And she used to lose her power when she was tied up.
Yeah. So the girl would be like, what are you talking about? You're lying. And usually always with the dude. I don't know why, but I've been lucky that they're always with the dude. And that dude always knew. And that dude is probably making plans because he's like, shh, don't tell her. I'm working the angle here.
I'm working it,
Yeah. And he always goes, he's right. You have to watch something called the Morrison thing. And there's 2 films, depending on who they were. They would tell you which one they went to. And I was like, oh, my God, people are precious. You're all precious. You're just wonderful. You entertain. I miss going to shows just to call people out. My free hugs and spanks sign started as a mocking when I was at a Virginia show where someone, a couple people would walk by and go, you're disgusting. And I'd be like, well, you need to go on a diet. I would just throw lobs back at them. And I would be saying it to people who weren't even that fat, were skinny, and they'd be like, because it bothered them more. Because it was never someone overweight who was nasty to me. It was always some drunk person, and I hate alcohol at a show. I don't think they should ever give alcohol at a show. I think I'll take a half-naked cosplayer over the amount of beer they allow people to have, and they walk around and say things. So I made a sign that said free hugs and spanks. Suddenly the book started selling like hotcakes. It was amazing, and ever since then I've had it. But that sign pisses people off. I've had promoters come up to me and go, they complain about it, but there's nothing there I can say. Well done. And they walk away because it literally just says free hugs and spanks. How is that going to, I've seen kids point up and go, why would someone want free spanks? And you should see their moms. Their moms are all red-faced.
Ask your mom.
Yeah. Yes.
And occasionally I'll have that one mom who comes over and goes, oh, well, if you keep acting up, I'll have them spank you. I'm like, no.
No,
I will not.
Not that type of spanking.
Nope. Not a service I provide. Your mom has to do that. Now, if your mom is bad, you tell me, and I'll speak for you. And you can see the woman's face. Oh shit! Like, don't put me in your parenting. Nope, I'm not.
Right, exactly.
I'm not going to jail because you're trying to threaten your kid. But that's just what it is. It's like Randy said. We're all like, oh, we can't expose kids to things. But here, kid, have this tablet with this game where you kill zombies with the machete.
Right. Yeah.
That won't fuck you up. But that free hugs and spanks time. Grow up. Everyone needs to grow up. Stay in their own lanes. Look, kids need to be taught more about sexuality, actually. In reverse, we have to have better conversations with them. And because we now do sexual education, teen pregnancy is on its way down.
Yeah.
Diseases for younger kids are on the way down. Where is it still a problem? All the areas that are very religious and won't allow these classes. And we're still seeing that problem. I mean, I'm not saying you show them like a BDSM video in the middle of class, you know? But you explain certain things and certain expectations, you know? Like there's no such thing as a G-spot. Don't bother looking for it.
Yeah. And again, there's a time and place for everything.
Yes.
Something that I desperately miss are adult comic shows. You know, and there should be shows out there that are
anymore, is there?
That there should be shows out there in the larger cities that are aimed at the underground, the alternative comics, where they check everybody at the door, or even a floor at a larger show where they catch people as they come off the elevator and they check their IDs, and everybody on the floor is selling adult only material.
Right.
You know, there's a way to be discreet. One of the greatest things I ever saw it was at Mid Ohio Con. They had a room specifically designated for adult undergrounds and Playboys and penthouses and that kind of stuff. And they checked your ID as you came in. You got a stamp on the back of your hand.
Yeah, because it's like it's so difficult to nowadays to sell adult oriented material online, and it's like, I mean, we kind of talked about this the other morning, where it's like all the platforms are so inconsistent as to what they mean when they say, oh, no adult material. And then it's like you see some artists, they get away with everything, and some artists literally get banned from the platform.
It's just who's reporting you. Mark, you had something to say.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, Rob, what I was going to tell you is I got to go.
Oh, tell everyone before you leave. Tell everyone where you can be followed.
Absolutely. Find me on Facebook, either as Mark Darden or as the Guano Guy. Either way, you know, come find me. Let's chat. Let's talk comics and new books coming up. So I really would love for people to get some good, clean, wholesome Guano Guy fun that's always very silly and all ages appropriate.
Thanks for being on, dude.
Absolutely, Rob. It's always good to see you. Daphne, nice to meet you.
Nice
Randy,
to meet you too.
Nice meeting you, Mark.
See you guys again.
All right, good night.
Hope so. Take care.
Bye. Night.
Night. Yeah, but I mean, it's so true. Like you get all these people. And Randy, to be honest, I've never had a kid look at my book because I've never had them so they can look at my book.
I've always had adults get up my butt about stuff, about the adult stuff. You know, and that's like another thing too. Like, you know, if they're complaining about how women are drawn in comics, it's like they definitely complain when women are drawing porn.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's always adults that give me a hard time for it.
Well, I always tell up and coming artists that are old enough that if they ever want to learn how to draw superhero females, go to a strip club.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a sketch pad to the strip club, because you're never going to find more fit women than the ones that are on the pole. Yeah.
Oh, that's some upper body strength.
Oh,
I can't imagine. Yeah. Just remember that the heels come off the second they get off the stage, though.
Oh yeah. Yep.
My heart was broken when I found out that the pole actually swivels on its own.
Really?
Some of them do. Yes,
really?
some of them do.
Yeah, I know. That was a today I learned type of thing too.
I was like blown away. I think when you go home with a girl and she takes off the water bra and you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But still, though, it still requires a lot of upper body strength, though.
Well, it's when you see a performer crawl up a pole in reverse.
Yeah.
But first, that you sit there and you go. Yeah. That takes some effort. Yeah.
I saw this one video where that you see the girl like dressing and she's taking off all like legs and stuff, just making fun of the fact that women wear Spanx and all that.
Yeah.
Again, there is that body image thing where women feel compelled to look a certain way, but we don't talk about it. Men do too.
Yeah.
Right? Men feels like we get fat because we keep looking at Chris Hemsworth. And we're like, I can't take it. I can never look like Thor. The minute Thor looked like us, we were like,
yeah, bod.
You know how many people are dressing up as Thor as soon as this beer bug comes?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't think that wasn't intentional.
Ha. But yeah, and that's
they could do that.
It's like that's the problem. I see that too, where it's like these companies are really pushing for men to have the same body image issues as women do, and I'm just horrified by that. And it's like I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Well, and again, it's all a personal image issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
By the person. That's something that's internal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like to blame artwork for that. It's still kind of weird. That is it, because it's like sometimes it reeks of Comics Code Authority, and a lot of times too, because like I said, it's just adults that bother me about adult artwork, and to hear a lot of the discussion around like how women are drawn or how they should be drawn is the argument these people are ultimately making is that they're saying that women are unable to tell the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah.
And that media must cater to that idea that in the end women are so dumb we get jealous of cartoon characters.
Well, look at women in Victorian times. They had the bustle and the boost and the push and all this, but the guys that were painting Victorian women, were painting round women.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet they were still dealing with their body image, trying to look skinnier, trying to be more boosted up.
Right, yeah.
When the vision of beauty was actually completely different.
Well, it changes, yeah. The idea of beauty changes, I think they said every 40 years. Every 30 to 40 years. If you go back to the 70s, it was completely different. Fat bottom girls, right?
Yeah.
The 80s, very thin, very athletic. The 90s, a little grungier. It was push-up bras,
right? Yeah.
Boobage, and it was the new thongs. That was a big thing. There was a whole song about it. And then in the 2000s, I don't know what they're trying to aim for. It's like a mix of things. I'm liking it though because it's yoga pants. You women, like, I don't have a type. You're all wonderful. You're all amazing. So you keep being you, and I don't judge anyone for how they look.
Thank you.
Derek says, I worked at a costume shop, and I saw all the crazy shit. Derek, you're welcome.
Yeah, really.
We want to hear it all. Gossip.
Yeah.
JD says...
discourse. What's that?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. That's online.
He's not Jack because he's Superman. Everything's easy for him. Why would someone who everything is easy for get Jack? Like, literally. I mean, we've all seen that Momoa guy. That Momoa guy doesn't work out. He just looks like that. If he worked out, it'd be no different because he was just born looking gorgeous. That's a guy who got into a bar fight. I'm like, cut my face, please. Come on. And he only looked better with the cut face. It was horrible. Terrence Holt says, Rob Liefeld reminded everyone that comics is a way to escape reality, especially the Captain America chest.
Yeah, it's like, but that's the thing. It's like,
you drunk, bro, with that Captain America. I look like a Buick chest. I'm like, is there someone hiding? Is he a robot now? But I like Rob. Rob's awesome. So yeah, Rob. I mean, so comics were supposed to be where we escape, not explain history. We're not supposed to be teaching etiquette.
Right? Yeah, we're not supposed to be distributing morality. It's like.
Although you can with an elephant parts.
Oh, there you go. Yes, you can. You can in the right context, but what?
I don't know where to go with that, JD.
Yeah,
that JD is crazy.
Yeah, he's having a different conversation than we are.
We were talking about fetishes, and he's talking about. We're not going to go there on this show, dude.
That can certainly be taken out of context.
Explain that to me later.
TVMA, man. TVMA does not cover that. Terrence. But that's what gets left out.
Yeah, you know what? It's like all the comments are mistimed.
I think I know what he meant by that.
Right.
The fact that this is fantasy, that we're
Right,
entertainment, not gospel.
Right.
That we're recreating the Bible over here.
Right.
We want people to feel entertained. Yeah, sometimes we want to throw some education in there. I have things, teaches moral farts. I have my own views of the world, and I do want people inspired. But like when I made my character, I wanted her to be sexy. Right. But I had people in my book that I also wanted representative of other shapes as well, other genders. It wasn't just females who were submissive in my books. If you read them, there are males who actually are. So it's about showing a world, but it's also fantasy, people. Yeah. It's not a biography. None of the
right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's really not a Metropolis, and there's not a Supergirl, and there's not a Superman, and there's no Green Arrow, and there's no Robin Hood. Guys, those are all fictional characters.
But there is a Zatanna. I saw her at a show.
I don't know what to do with that one. I mean,
yeah.
Never mind.
I know what you mean, but I don't know where you're going with that because I don't know where your dirty mind.
I've seen 3 Power Girls at the show at one time. There's triplets.
Yeah, there it is.
And
there's
70 Harley Quinns.
Yeah, and 70 Harley Quinns.
Now Travis Gibb is talking about how he was once. We were at a show together, and a girl who was a cosplayer kept trying to show poor Travis.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I saw the cosplay porn closet. So
and it's funny too,
cosplay porn closet.
That's funny. So that wouldn't surprise me.
Travis is not that type of dude, so he's like, she keeps trying to show me the pictures, and I'm like, did she try to show you the pictures? I was like, yeah, look, she's cute. What about him? Like, it didn't even faze me. That's the type of person I am. Like, there are these pictures that are naked. I'm like, oh, those are cool.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's like, she's hitting on you. And I'm like, yeah, bro, my kid's right here. I ain't got time for that. Like, right now, you hear it in the background.
She's hitting on you enough for you to spend $50 on photos.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, like, I don't, no, thank you. I don't pay for that kind of stuff. It feels dirty. No problem to do it. I think there's a different honor system to earn it. It's like getting to know their middle names, not paying to know their insides. Just saying, but that's not Travis. Travis was a little disturbed by that, and I'm like, well, just say no, thank you. Say no, thank you, man. I'd rather see you clothed. Thank you. How often do you get to see that? A guy being like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you naked. Please don't show me you naked. So credit to Travis for standing up, and it wasn't okay yet.
Right? Exactly.
He's at home right now, like, she wanted to show me her Pepe Steve.
Right. Well, it's like it's a similar. He's still arguing about Superman.
Yeah, Superman would be the guy who's a beer gut and could do anything and just amaze us. Like the guy who's so like just out of shape, like Thor, and it's done. And you'd be like, oh, I want to be that. That's a Superman. To a woman, of course, I'm sure it's a little different. And to the woman, it's the guy who can find the mythical land of G-Spot. I don't know. JD continues their turtle tales.
That's like the chat and the video are not lining up, so we're kind of missing the context.
But the turtle tails is a funny thing. The fact that they had to go back and remove the tails because they look like penises to people.
Right? Yeah, I that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
But it's all people like, is that a penis? No, it's a turtle. Turtle's penis.
But that's also bad silhouetting. This is what they talk about in animation. That it's like, you're supposed to pay attention to the silhouette of your character so you don't end up with situations like that.
And what if there are situations like that? Sometimes that's just shadows, baby.
Right.
That's for the adult audience.
I was going to say, I draw a turtle character for the nature preserve. I'm going to have to watch the tails from that.
Yeah, be careful with that.
Never even thought
those sexy turtles.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about on this topic right now? Because I think we covered everything, but did we miss a point? I like always asking that. Was there something we didn't advocate for?
Well, I mean, I guess in the end, the big question is like, who does this really hurt? And it's like, like the way certain artists draws characters with 34 triple D's on a 12-inch waist. In the end, it's like, who's really getting bothered by this? Like in the end, it's like, if it's an artist I don't like, I don't like their artwork, I just don't buy it. I just don't give them the time of day. So, and it's not all artists who do this. I mean, it's like there's a lot of artists out there who drew beautiful erotic artwork, do beautiful covers. And I'm pretty sure those are not the people these people are talking about.
But again, there are women who look like that.
No, that's true too. Because the thing is, it's like, when the main complaint that I hear whenever these people complain about these drawings is like, it's like, big breasts and small waists and big butts are automatically vulgar. And it's like, hey, honey, you just described me. So what are you telling me?
Variant's got a big story about that, where he drew a female character with a very large breast, very large butt. And then he was told that's not realistic. That girl's not real. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then he sent her pictures of his wife. It says, I use her as a model. That's her exact dimensions.
Yeah, you're telling me that we're not real. Yeah. It's the whole what's a real woman thing. Yeah. And it's like, well, I'm a real person, and you're telling me that I literally am vulgar just for existing.
Yep. Because you've been fantasizing. Women are made objects, and when men can't have, this is exactly it. This is how men are in reality. I want a girl who will clean my house, do anything with me in the bedroom, dress like a slut when she's out with me. But goddamn, if she doesn't go out with her friends looking like anything like that, she better put on her church outfit. That's the unrealistic view of men a lot of times, is that we don't allow women to be expressive. It doesn't matter how a woman dresses as long as she's comfortable. You have to love a woman for who she is. If she's not for you and you want to be with someone who's more this or that, then go do that. And you know what, guys? How about this? How about stop talking to strangers on Facebook about how hot they are and go talk to your wife that way? Why don't you spend some time admiring your wife and admiring her, and spend less time fantasizing about shit you can't have and being a creepy fuck? So the rest of us can enjoy what we want to enjoy, because it's you guys that make everything so bad when you go to cons and you touch people inappropriately. Keep your hands to your fucking self.
Oh, really?
And again,
you learned that in kindergarten. Keep your hands to yourself.
Yep, it's that maturity, that decorum that the entire industry needs.
Yeah. And when I take pictures, because there are women who want to take pictures with me because of the fetish book, and they'll be in outfits. I'll tell you right now, when I'm doing it, my hands are always behind my back like this.
Right. You know how Keanu Reeves does it? Like when he takes a photo with somebody, it's like he floats his hand around their waist so he's not touching anybody.
Yes.
That's what Keanu Reeves does. Yeah.
And I've had girls be like, oh, you can touch me. And they're like
no.
looking at me like, you can't touch her, dude.
Yeah, no.
Not appropriate. And I'm just like, I do this just to make sure that everyone feels that. We haven't talked about consent. And I go about that.
Yeah.
And someone who doesn't understand consent.
Apparently, Varian's ears were burning when I was talking about him earlier.
Yeah. I had to come in here and find out what's going on.
So we finally meet Mr. Bond.
Yes. Hello. I was getting all types of calls from standards and practices. I figured, I said, let me get on this thing and see what's going on. Clean it up. What's going on?
We haven't said
we're talking about boobs, man.
God, carry on.
We've been very careful. Rob, the closest that we've gotten is Rob referred to it as a birth shoot.
Yeah. So. As long as he doesn't use that seriously in a sentence, we'll let it go.
Well, no, I'm very awkward about calling that like a vagina, but even for me, that feels like a dirty word. I don't know it.
And it shouldn't be.
And I've seen a baby born. I've held legs open for a baby to be born, and I still can't call it a vagina without feeling like an idiot. I don't know why. And I call it the other thing, but I'm a gentleman, so I won't say it publicly. Unless we're talking about Karen Gibson, then I'll call him a pussy. But if we're talking about the actual thing, I can't do. I just can't do it. Barry, what I do wrong? I know. I put up the warning. I swear.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. But I was gonna say that I have a buddy of mine who he doesn't go for girls. I'll put it that way. Doesn't go for girls, but he refers to my wife as angry roast beef.
Ooh.
Yeah, he refers to all women as angry roast beef, and I'm like, it took me a while. I'm like, angry roast beef. I don't get it. Then one day I'm at Arby's, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Very horrible, very horrible.
Well, I was listening to a video today by a Jewish rabbi who talks about comics, and he was using the C word like there was no tomorrow.
Was he Australian?
No, he was very New York,
right?
Very stereotype.
Wow.
Jewish rabbi.
Wow.
That likes to say the C word all the time.
Oh, well, he was talking about a particular situation of that's going on in comics right now, and he's like, well, if you want to act like a C, you're going to get treated like a C, and if you have C-type behavior, people are going to treat you like you're a C.
Oh boy!
I'm like, okay, buddy.
No,
that's not for standards and practices.
Yeah, no wonder they called me here. Clean it up. No, I just want to pop in. I've been like non-communication all day. It was my son's birthday party, and Randy, when it was pretty much like birthday con. A lot of artists that I know.
Birthday con.
A lot of artists that I know came by, and I want to thank them all who did come by. And they brought him gifts and had cake and everything. Really cool. But one of the artists asked my son, I said, hey man, are you still drawing? And Caden looked at him straight in the eye and said, no, there is no Comic-Con. What's the point?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, no place to sell my stuff. Why am I going to make it for?
So,
I mean, not for nothing. A lot of people did, they do use especially like San Diego and New York Comic Con for that type of push.
Yeah.
To get their next project out. So,
I owe him a lecture.
Yeah.
Do you want us all to sing happy birthday to Katie? Because I would not suggest that.
No. He's asleep, thank God.
Tell him from everyone from us that we said happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday.
Yeah, really, happy birthday.
I will let him know he's
we want to be him to be a guest when he's legal age, just so we can. It'd be like raising Chris. We want to hear the stories that he has about you.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna have tons. Like, only thing about that, the time my dad put me in the figure 4 and wouldn't let go.
You gotta teach them.
Yeah.
It's like an elephant. Do you know they put cuffs on elephants when they're little babies so they can't break it, so the rest of their lives they think they can never break it? So you gotta do it with your kid. Beat them when they're young, because when they get bigger, you might have a harder chance. They might actually get you.
I've always said, when I was in high school, me and my buddy came up with this ingenious plan. I said, I'm not gonna spank my kids. I'm gonna put them in wrestling moves.
Oh,
and
boy.
When CPS comes, I can say, wrestling's fake.
It was just playing. It's all kids' games, right?
Yeah.
I can't explain why he went unconscious.
Are you near the computer, Varian?
I am.
How many listeners do we have?
I can boot it up. Give me 1 second. Keep talking while I boot it up because it may be a minute.
Boot up your butt. Boot up your butt.
Real quick, if you guys want to talk to us, because a lot of times Varian is not on this show. If you have a comment or a concern, we have a brand new Gmail for you. Send the information to the Indie Devil, spell Indie right, INDEE, devil at gmail.com as you hear Jax chiming in the background. And you can tell us how much I suck or what you want to talk about. And we'll be answering those live starting next week, when next week we take on copyright infringement.
Oh, boy.
And we're not just talking about fan art now. We're talking about literally Kickstarter. That's where we're going. We're not talking about art.
That's kind of weird going on there.
They stopped that Batman one, didn't they?
Oh, like there was a screech on that one.
I'm surprised they even let it go to begin with.
Well,
we're gonna be talking about that.
When you're desperate for money, you're just not gonna watch everything that goes through.
But turn in next week as we chime in and we talk about how the princesses are being poured out from Disney on Kickstarter. We're going to look into that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that and all the Pokemon bootleg pins.
Oh, everything.
Right.
Why is not a lawyer making a career out of this?
No, for real. I don't understand that either.
Well, we'll talk about it next week.
There we go. Next week.
Yeah, they had
Stay
a
tuned.
professional. They had a professional trying to get it, pay his way to a show by doing 3D prints of Judge Dredd badges
Oh boy.
with your name on it.
So what are the numbers
That sounds like a gray area.
That got a quick call.
Oh yeah. Okay. Enough. Yeah. If it's enough to get a call, that's it.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was more than close enough.
Yeah.
You are at 60. Oh, sorry, 61,200 right now.
Thank you all. You're all amazing. Thank you all for being part of this tonight.
Russia. Thank Russia.
Russia.
Oh,
appreciate everybody listening.
Right.
Yes.
Russia's been busy.
Toss Danya.
They listen for the nitwittery. That's what it is. Stupid Americans.
All right, so we're gonna go around the room and
Tune on the web.
We're
Those crazy comic guys are talking again.
We're at a 2-hour mark, so we're gonna go around the room and say goodbye in the order that we came in. So ladies first, and we're not being sexist by doing that. She was here first.
Well, so you can check out my comic Tall Tales at talltalesonline.com. And I also have a YouTube channel featuring art tutorials, demos, and live streams every Wednesday where you can hear me babble while I'm sketching out comic book pages. Every Wednesday at Daphne Lage Art on YouTube.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook and the Twitter. I don't twit very often, but I'm up there as Randy Zim. I also have the Zim Geek channel on YouTube that I swear there'll be new content up probably this week, actually. So I'm trying to make it a point to get more content up there soon. There we go. Yes, wise up. Other than that, I'm here on the Indie Volt Thursday nights at 9 p.m. and Tuesday nights at 9 p.m., Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And we invite you to write in your comments at IndieVolt Live at indievolt.com. Make sure you include IndieVolt Live in the subject. And please keep those emails to 90 words or less so that Varian can actually type them on a card. So, and remember, there's no question too big or too small because our feedback will be better because of your setback. Hashtag get an education, hashtag IndieVolt.
And it's my turn now. I guess
the Reverend Lord Varian Grant.
Yeah. Hi everybody. I've been making comics for a long while.
Part of the Sup-Ass Boys.
Co-founder and co-publisher at Last Call Comics, and founder of IndieVolt Media LLC. And that's me. You find me at KYD_V on Twitter, as well as Varian Grant on pretty much every other social network that there is. You can find me.
All right, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Obviously, this has been a great show.
Love it.
Once again, 60,000 listeners. Thank you so much. It means so much you guys tuned in tonight. Remember to download the app. As Jax is playing a video game and going crazy. Thank you for everyone who watched and liked and gave us a hearts up. Subscribe to Indie Volt. Make sure that you're keeping up with all the content. Thank you, Del Taco. We didn't forget about you. We just didn't.
Drop the taco. Get in the car.
We didn't want to put you in at the wrong moment at the wrong time. We wanted to be gentle to make sure we did it. And remember that if you guys want to talk about a topic and be part of this, the door is always open. You just got to be civil. Notice we had a great conversation tonight. No one got mad. No one name called. No one acted like a child. We actually were able to talk about a difficult thing and had a great time about it. We even got to see Randy get on his soapbox.
There we go. Yep. That's only because Varian came on the last few minutes. So.
Yeah.
You were there a little earlier in the show when you start talking about Diamond. That does it. You mentioned Diamond and you've lost Randy.
I got a soapbox when it comes to Diamond.
But I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you all so much. I'm going to switch back to my little thing so I can give you your outro. We'll be talking soon. If you want us to answer any of your questions, make sure you reach out to Indie Volt. And thank you for being a part of tonight's program.